Hey everyone, welcome to my channel Synapse. I'm Dia, a third year medical student, and I'm super excited to take you on this journey into the fascinating world of medicine. Here we will break down complex medical topics into bite sized, easy to understand pieces. Today we are starting off with a fundamental topic in general pathology, that is cellular adaptation. So without any further delay, let's dive right into it. Cellular adaptation refers to the process by which the cell adjusts to new environments or stressors. But why do the cells need to adapt? Well, it's often in response to injury, which can be caused by factors like hypoxia, which is decreased oxygen supply, or ischemia, which is the reduced blood supply. Think of it as the cell's survival mechanism. These adaptations are usually reversible and help the cell to continue function under stressful conditions. Let's take a look at the big picture. Any stress, whether physiological or pathological, can lead to cellular adaptation. If the stress persists or worsens, it can cause cell injury, which starts off as reversible. But if the damage continues, it becomes irreversible, leading to cell death through processes like necrosis, apoptosis, or necroptosis. Once a cell crosses the line into irreversible injury, there is no turning back. There are four main ways cells adapt: hyperplasia, hypertrophy, atrophy, and metaplasia. We will go through each of these with their definitions, mechanisms, and examples. Hyperplasia is the increase in the number of cells leading to an enlarged organ. This happens due to growth factors that induce the proliferation of mature cells, mostly in dividing tissues. Examples include breast enlargement during pregnancy and puberty, and regeneration of the skin after an abrasion. On the pathological side, excessive hormone production can cause conditions like endometrial hyperplasia or benign prostatic hyperplasia. Here is a classic image showing an increase in the number of endometrial glands, one of the hallmark signs of hyperplasia. Hypertrophy, on the other hand, is all about the increase in cell size, not number. This happens due to increased synthesis of cellular proteins. It is common in non dividing cells like muscle and heart cells. Physiological examples include the enlargement of the uterus during pregnancy, breast during lactation, and muscles getting bigger with exercise as muscle cells produce more proteins or myofilaments and get larger in size. Pathologically, conditions like hypertension causes the heart to work harder, leading to left ventricular hypertrophy, or area proximal to obstruction in urinary bladder will undergo hypertrophy. In these images, you can see smooth muscle cells in the uterus and hypertrophied cells with increased thickness due to hypertrophy. Now let's talk about atrophy. The word atrophy comes from a meaning no and trophy meaning nourishment. So it literally means no nourishment. Atrophy is the reduction of in cell size or number, often due to decreased use or nourishment. The physiological examples: as children grow and their immune system gets established, the thymus begins atrophy. This process is called thymus involution. As a result, the thymus is much larger in young children than it is in adults. The other examples are ovary in menopause, brain with aging, and uterus after parturition. The pathological examples are starvation atrophy is wasting of muscle due to inadequate nutrition, and other examples are ischemic, neuropathic atrophy, and disuse atrophy, which is due to long standing disuse of muscles like extended bed rest, zero gravity, or during long study session. There can be a loss of muscle mass and strength. In metaplasia, a mature, differentiated cell type is replaced by another mature, differentiated cell type. This usually occurs in response to environmental stressors as the new cell type is better equipped to handle the changed conditions. For example, in certain situations, squamous cells can transform into columnar cells and vice versa as an adaptive mechanism. The mechanism behind metaplasia involves the reprogramming of stem cells that are present in normal tissues. A classical example is the lining of our airways, which is made of pseudo-stratified ciliated columnar epithelial cells. These cells are well suited for air passage under normal conditions. However, in response to chronic exposure to smoke, these columnar cells are replaced by stem cells differentiating into squamous epithelial cells. These squamous cells form layers providing better protection against the toxins in the smoke. Another example is the esophagus, which is typically lined with non-keratinizing squamous epithelium. These cells are designed to withstand the mechanical stress of food passing through. However, when there is frequent acid reflux, the stem cells adapt by differentiating into non-ciliated mucin-producing columnar epithelial cells. This condition is known as Barrett's esophagus and serves as a protective mechanism against the ongoing acid exposure. And that's a wrap on cellular adaptations. I hope you found this overview insightful. If you did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Synapse for more medical content. Drop a comment below if you have any questions or topics you'd like me to cover next. Stay curious, stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next video.